What is going on, everybody? It is time for the Impact Wrestling review for this week. It was 7/2015. This year is flying. We're also almost at No Surrender. Next week going to be an Impact theme type of thing, which I always like. I was a little more excited for next week. This week to me kind of felt like a go home show. Personally, felt like it was one of those shows that was. It made a lot of sense logically. Thrown together weird. Kind of made a lot more feud or segments kind of as a bigger show, a bigger pay-per-view feel to its type of show. So let's jump right into some cool things going on in the show. Start with a video package basically on what's going on tonight. Just a simple video package, nothing too special or anything. Just letting us know what are we doing tonight. So cool stuff. Then we get Austin Aries, and he comes out to cut a promo. He talks about how he's not in a very good mood, and he's not really upset. He's upset that he doesn't get his title shots, and he needs some title shots. Bully Ray comes out to kind of dispute. He thinks that he's really good, but you gotta work your way up. You just lost. You just lost the Wolves. You just lost the Angle, but you can't get an X Division title shot. And Aries kind of buried his title. The X Division Championship is for guys who'll never be great. I created option C, but I created it for me. Rockstar Spud comes out and he talks about how really looks up to Aries, but it's really he's really disrespecting a great division. I wish Spud would have mentioned how the X Division built TNA, because I think that they should really rely on that because it's a true state, and I think it doesn't really get old when we think about it, especially how weirdly the X Division is used today. I would love for Spud to have came out. I love what he said, but I wish he would have said, this is the title that this title made TNA. This title is what put TNA on the map. This title is what we all strive for. And I kind of wish, with a lot of companies, they would say, this title is the most important title. Kind of have that competition between the world title and the the mid card, I guess you could say, title, the secondary title, and kind of make the secondary title feel even bigger. It's it is just as big. You can be just as big of a star by being in the S division. Basically, this sets up a match. The Rockstar Spud and Aries will face off next week, and we'll see if Aries wins. He gets Rockstar Spud's Rockstar name, so Spud will just be Spud. And if Spud wins, Aries is gone. Aries is like, I don't need to be in Impact Wrestling ever again if I can't beat a Jamoke or a Jabroni or whatever, kind of weird you want to say about Spud. If I can't beat Spud, I don't belong here. So I thought that was pretty cool. And obviously, we know that Aries is leaving. So this is a good way to write him off. I like it when they write them off this way. I feel like a little bit with the BDC thing with MVP, with him leaving, or I think it's actually been a report that TNA let him go because of the Hernandez thing. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but MVP is gone. So I wish they would have just been real with us. At least with this situation, we don't. If you don't have been looking at news sheets and stuff like that, you wouldn't know. If you look at it this way, it makes sense. It's a good storyline to get Aries, out of TNA, I guess you could say. Whereas if you look at the MVP BDC situation, they should have just showed us the tweets. He says BDC is dead. BDC is no more, and then we know, well, the BDC is no more. And then there's us. The commentators can kind of comment on how MVP, the BDC was his family. He can't do it without his family, so he decided to get out. I feel like if they were a little bit real with us, because we know a lot more than I think the wrestling business wants us to know. So I feel like if they're just real with us, he's tweeted them out for everyone to see. So they should have been real with us about that, instead of covering up. I don't know how they're gonna see thing if that's what they're gonna have to do is scratch it. But next in the show, we go backstage with Melendez and Angle. He basically wants to. Melendez wants to thank Angle for coming to his aid, and kind of vice versa. They've kind of been coming to each other's aid with EY here recently. But Melendez feels like he has to overcome it. He has to overcome EY. He needs it. He needs to get to where he wants to get. So this is basically just setting up for the match that's coming up next with Melendez versus EY. And going into this match, Melendez had a promo to start the match, and it got really dark. I was like, what? It got really dark, and it was obvious it got really dark. It wasn't like really dark and just like a random. It was random. It was like, what is going on? Why is it really dark back there? I don't know what they were trying to cover up there, or if they were trying to make Chris Melendez look kind of darker or kind of put the spotlight on him. I'm not sure what they were going for there, but both men were being really aggressive early on in this match. We get the big slap on EY by Melendez. Melendez looked good, strong style. Like, I feel like he did learn from Bully Ray and Devon, so it makes a little bit of sense. He does a good job of making his moves look impactful, which I like, and which is really good considering he's kind of what you would say you would call him probably a rookie. So he looks really good. He looks like he's really he really goes into his moves really well. I feel like he really shows some good aggression. Melendez tries to fight back, but he then gets hit with the power driver for the win. This was a short match. Guys go a little bit more hardcore because they've had this feud for so long. Because last week we had a random chain match with Eric Young and Spud, so I feel like why wasn't this like the chain? Why wasn't this in a cage, or why wasn't this in something to make it feel like we're continuing the feud, make it feel like the feud is getting bigger and bigger? I feel like this feud's not going anywhere, and I don't think they're going to face next week at No Surrender. So I'm like, why aren't we having this feud build a little bit more? It's not match type, I feel like. Next we got JB. He's in the parking lot, kind of in the in this kind of hidden room in the parking lot, talking to obviously Jeff at this point, talking about what the stipulation is. JB, that inside reporter, kind of get that inside scoop for the people. But Matt Hardy's like, you will learn when everybody else learns. That kind of typical, I'm not going to let you know until later. So kind of teasing that the stipulation will be revealed, but not right now. After that, we get Marty Bell versus Brooke. Brooke of the Testmakers, of course, the new Knockouts champion. And this was for the Knockouts champion. I thought this was championship. This was, really a cool spot for Marty Bell. Considering she's in the dollhouse, it gives her a little bit more chances than anybody else would have as far as, kind of being new. And I kind of wanted to see Marty Bell in the ring. Last week, I know we talked with Rabbit, or the last TNA review I did, talked to Rabbit, and he was talking about how Marty Bell is not aggressive with her strikes. So, I was kind of trying to looking into this match to see if she's aggressive, and I still saw that kind of with how it looks like she's not hitting them. It looks like she's not, she's softly just hitting them. It's not doing anything. It's not delivering. But I feel like Brooke has the same issue. I feel like Brooke at times is similar hitting them. It feels like they don't have enough chemistry yet, and that may be true. But basically, this is a lot of distraction here. Terrell's distraction kind of gets attacked from behind. Jade's on the apron, and the book brings her in, tries to get off the light yet thing. But she's not out there this time. I like how they didn't bring her out this time. They just kind of use it as a distraction. Then we get the Butterface Maker by Brooke, so champion. Obviously, considering she's not gonna lose the Knockout champion this quick, especially not to Marty Bell, hasn't really proved herself yet as a championship contender. Then we get Tigray. He's talking on Trump once again. He's because it is in Tijuana. It makes a little bit more sense. It makes me feel like it's kind of more interesting because elsewhere didn't really hear anything about Trump in this one for some reason. I remember it was more so with the interview that came up after this. And while I was watching this, I thought this was all they were going to show, and I was like, put that interview. I was like, oh, okay, gotcha. Tier does have an interview next. He says, we are people of action. When we are attacked, called you out, Trump. Where are you? I'm not afraid of people like you, Tigger Uno. And the ending of it, like it felt like I was looking for more from Tigger Uno. I was looking for him to say something else, and he didn't. I didn't expect him to end it with "I am Tigger Uno" and that's it. Than it needed to be anyway. But I like Tigger Uno. Just work on the Saber-tooth splash. That's all I need. That's all I need. Don't feel good. I love it. The Phoenix splash that he does. I love the splash, but he's got to, make sure he's exact on the point where he wants to hit his opponent with it. Next we get EC3 backstage. He talks unbreakable, undefeated, undisputed. I like, and it's too when they start with the theme that UN kind of just going back to the fact that he's that and he's a champ. Darn it, come on. I'm just glad that he does a good job of using kind of words that are there, and I like that. Um, he says basically tells Matt Hardy to hit him with his best shot. And next we get EC3 in the ring. This is kind of that was setting up for the stipulation to be born, or the stipulation to be revealed. EC3 says, in 7 days, I will defend my World Heavyweight Championship against Matt Hardy at no surrender. He talked about bullies sucking eggs, and he was like, I said it, you suck eggs. And I was like, that's typical troll EC3 right there. He says, all there really are here is, the only thing that Jeff Hardy, really is, and the Hardys really are just a couple of hillbillies from North Carolina. He says, well, and then the people start chanting Hardy, Hardy, Hardy. They start to chant for the Hardys, and he says, well, I guess we got a couple of, we got a couple of hillbillies here too. And I love when he, I think he does a really good job of it. He has like the great kind of jerk where it doesn't get annoying, but it kind of gets annoying if you're like if you're probably in the crowd, you're probably like, I can't stand this guy. He talks about how Jeff Hardy fell off his moped and broke his leg. I like that he called it a moped first and didn't call it a bike because most people think that was a botch. Most people would think he didn't mean to say it. But I feel like, with him saying that, it kind of makes it sound less serious, makes it sound like he's just kind of strolling around and just happened to fall off. I like this, He says basically he's fell off every obstruction and been okay, but he falls off his bike and breaks his leg. Just trolling EC3. I mean, just trolling Jeff Hardy there. He says, someone had to stop Matt Hardy, close him. He's really bringing the outside world into his promos and into what he does, and I like that because you good exposure, you got to bring that other stuff, and it kind of helps you with the fans too. If you know a little bit in the world or know what can have some good comparisons, you're doing really good. Jeff does come out. Did have a noticeable limp. I noticed he had a really noticeable limp. At first, it looked like he was fine when he looked down at the leg, kind of shook it off a little bit. It looked like he was fine, but as he continued to walk, you could tell he had a noticeable limp. Um, he said he did cry a little bit, with all the pain. But when he saw him on Impact Wrestling, saw EC3 on Impact Wrestling, he just got sick. A good line he used there. He says he's the healing, and before you know it, he'll be the world champs to change. And the person that will change, the top tier must change. The person who's going to change it does come out. He says, they're trying to put their heads together to make a good stick. He pulls outside of the ring. He pulls out a table, puts it in the ring. He said, Jeff Hardy says, we need a little bit more. Pulls out a chair, puts it in the ring. Need, one more kind of metal object, I guess you could say. And I love the fans were like, we want more, we want more. Chance right there, and they basically say so we're gonna have full metal mayhem. So that'll be a good match, and that'll be good to show how EC3 his ability in other matches on his own too. Because Bully Ray said that no one's allowed at ringside, and including Tyrus. He says, Matt Hardy says, next week, my dream of becoming TNA World Heavyweight Champion becomes a reality. I'm definitely excited for EC3 versus Matt Hardy next week. I think it's going to be a really good match. I think Full Metal Mayhem gives EC3 a chance to show what he can do in Full Metal Mayhem in other matches besides just normal matches. I think the last nodes in, he actually ended up losing that match via first blood. So, you know, it's Magnus and Mickey James next up with an interview. Magnus says tonight be about celebration, but this is not even a match. It's a fight with a guy who tried to take down my family. Tonight for the last time, we will bring this to an end. Mickey says, I don't know if I could have said that any better. One last match. I can't think of a better time to have one last match. And Serena, I want you to see the light. See one way to do it. This is a really good promo between husband and or not husband and wife yet. Fiancés here, kind of, about to be married partners. Here with Magnus. Love Magnus's promos. When he gets into it, I don't know if I was feeling this when he was world champion, but when Magnus gets into a promo, the man can cut. To be honest with you, I feel like Magnus cuts really good promos when when is really dialed in on it. He cut a really good one at Slammiversary, and he cut a really good one tonight. I feel like he's really good when he can just dial it in and say what he needs to say. I love it. I hope he's not really gone from TNA coming up. Him and Aim Storm. I hope they're both not because both of them I like them both. So next we get James Storm and Serena. Yes, Serena from the Straight Edge Society going up against Magnus and Mickey James. Magnus is Mickey James looking to attack, but Magnus kind of hits James off of that Mickey James distraction. And his distraction gives Storm some control. We get the backstabber off of the distraction. Lung blow on Magnus. Magnus can't handle that numbers game. He's just kind of getting beat down at this point. Mickey and Serena finally do come in. But Mickey's just too fast for Serena at this point. Mickey dies on Serena Panther, but Storm comes in and grabs her by the hair, kind of holds her up a little bit, kind of teasing something here. But Serena gets hit with Serena hits her with the gut buster. Magnus does come back in. He hits a spear. I didn't like to see her too much personally. Serena calls out Koya. Took him a while to get out there. I guess he had to find the stick. He was hiding. He had to hide it to get it. So it makes sense. Mickey gets thrown into the steps. Koya accidentally hits Storm with the power bomb, but Serena does come in, and then Mickey hits the DDT on Serena for the win, and then after the match, DDT on Storm, kind of adding that insult to injury there at the end. I really like this match, and I don't even know if the match was. It's just the story. I think it was a storyline. The combination of the storyline and the match together has really got me really interested in this feud, and I wish it wasn't over. They said for the last time, and this was at the tapings, so I would think it might actually be over this time. I don't know. It's just frustrating because I really like the storyline as much as it hasn't made sense all the time. Like it hasn't predictable storyline. When it has ramped up, it's been really good. And I think this was the perfect way to end it with Mickey James going over, considering kind of the target of everything, Agnes, and more about Mickey, in this feud. And I liked it. I definitely was a fan of this match. This match was really good, just simply because of the storyline that was involved. And I wish, I hope TNA continues with these really good storylines. I feel like the BDC Rising thing was really good because of the storyline that it had going with it. So, but next we got the interview with Mr. Anderson. Same interview from a couple weeks ago. I guess I don't know if this was some Hernandez time that they had to fill in here with that. I'm not really sure because I know they didn't have much BDC and they didn't replay anything from Slammiversary. So maybe this was some of that Hernandez, maybe a backstage segment with him or something like that. And then Bram somewhere backstage under some sort of bleacher somewhere. Next week at No Surrender, I am demanding a match between me and Mr. Anderson. I suggest that you give those two little ones because this is personal and there's no way you're going home. I really like Bram in these kind of backstage scenes. I think he does a really good job getting that crazy, like, I can do anything persona out there. I really like these. I love this one in like in general. I just like this one especially because this one was in a kind of remote location. We didn't necessarily really know where he was. He wasn't just in the ring. I like that. I like that he kind of did this in that remote location. The editing was pretty much perfect. I love how he mentioned the family and said give those little ones a peck on the head because it's personal. Love that. Like really, I'm really into Bram as far as the character is concerned. I like what he does in the ring, just not all the time. So I'm hoping him and Anderson can put on a good match. Anderson, the good worker, he's a hard worker at least. So hope they do a pretty good job coming up next week at No Surrender. Definitely excited for that. So next we get a video package on Jeff Jarrett, basically kind of the Hall of Fame video package, getting us ready for him to be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame for 2015. Definitely an exciting time. I think you would have to say. I do feel a little bit sorry for Jeff because he kind of just came back. They kind of TNA's been kind of a little bit with talent leaving that, and I hope at least some connection with Jeff can a little bit because I feel like relations is just really bad now, and I think with there, much better, than it is right now. But next we get the Jeff Jarrett induction. Dixie kind of gives us a little history lesson, which I liked. I like that she kind of gave us that history lesson about Jeff Jarrett, kind of showing us that she knows Jeff Jarrett a little bit more than we may think she knows. Love that music when it hits. It kind of, I don't know if it gives you goosebumps, but it's kind of like wow. It's been so long since you heard that music on kind of a regular basis, I guess you could say. Thanks to TNA consumers and former employees. He thanks all of those people you don't see, those guys behind the camera, those guys behind the scenes, those guys doing the editing, all those guys like that. He thanks Mike Tenay and Don West, who is actually working for GFW. I love Don West back in the day. He thanks all the X Division tag teams, the heavyweights. I'll say it at the end here. He thanks Dixie Carter and his family. And I'm so glad. I was so glad to hear this at the end. He says, he's finally kind of repaired the relationship that he had with his father. Obviously, the reason that his father left TNA, I think it was 2005, 2006, something like that. The reason his father left TNA because they had a falling out, and he ended up getting fired because of it. And then Jeff Jarrett obviously left shortly after that. And the roster does come out to applaud. With this, I'm so glad that he has repaired everything with his father. I hope it's true. I hope it wasn't just something to make us feel good. I hope it's actually true. But I kind of wish he would have mentioned more of the talent now. And I think that's kind of the issue. I wish they would have waited about a year to give him his induction, kind of let him get to know the talent a little bit. I know some of you guys are thinking they won't even be here in a year. Let's not hope that they won't be here in a year. I'm just saying, like, it would have been better when you think about it because it would have allowed him to, know who the X Division talent is, know who the knockouts are of today, know who the tag team. Because I genuinely, I do. I love that he thanks the older talent, the guys who aren't there anymore. But I feel like he should thank some of the guys who are there. Especially maybe the champions of right now. I feel like he should have really thanked them, and I feel like they didn't get that thanks because they the other guys. But yeah, I'm happy that he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think he deserved it, especially being a coach dad, finding it in 2002. I feel like it's much deserved. I honestly he probably should have been the first guy to get in to the Hall of Fame. Not only was he the co-founder, but he had some in-ring matches as well. So definitely happy to see him. And I feel like this was a pretty good show. It did feel like a go home show. It had a lot of promos. It had a lot of backstage stuff. But this week was the setup for next week. To be honest, this week was really the setup for the No Surrender uh, Impact theme pay per view, I guess you could say. I'm excited for it. I want to see them build these Impact theme reviews up a little bit more because I feel like if you because when they first started doing this, they built them like they were pay per views. Like no, it wasn't. They made sure that it was built in a way where we're like, okay, in 3 weeks, No Surrender's coming up. I'm excited, But I feel like it feels like maybe last week, may have mentioned it last week, but I don't remember. Um, and I feel like if they mention it a little bit ahead, it allows us to kind of see how the feuds are building and stuff like this, and let's actually treat them like they're pay per views. Let's not act just regular random Impact shows that just happen to have a different name to. I think we should treat them like they're pay-per-views. But I enjoyed TNA this week. I'm more excited for next week than I was for this week, like I've said, because I know Surrenders next week. It'll be pretty cool. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, a comment if you have anything about TNA. Besides that they're going out of business. I mean, I obviously get that a lot of people feel that way, but besides that, anything you want to say, feel free to leave in the comments. If you're excited for No Surrender, what's your match that you're looking forward to, any of that stuff, feel free to leave that down in the comments. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. If you want more of the content, I'll have my co-host on next week. He's coming back for the NXT Ring of Honor review, so I'll have him on for that. So if you're missing him, too bad. He'll be back soon. We'll see you guys in the near future. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later. Peace, man. Peace.